Welcome all to the Pro Football Radio Podcast. This is your co-host Jay Chima with the pride and joy of Merrimack, New Hampshire, Japuma. Welcome in, brother man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm in here. I had my wisdom teeth taken out over the weekend, so lost all four of them came out. So I'm hopped up on high test ibuprofen and amoxicillin and all the fluids. And I can't wait to actually eat food. So
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be good. Have some wings come Sunday for the Super Bowl. But we're at the end of the line, Jay. This is the last game of the season.
Last game of the season. I always get so sad about this. But before all that, Puma, we're at podcast 139. Like you said, we're going to hit on a couple of different topics this week. The first one being the Super Bowl is this Sunday. Now, before we get to that, what wings are you getting? It better be Dewdrop Inn.
I mean, if you're getting Dewdrop Inn out in, Derby, Connecticut, then you better be calling ahead. So that's my plan. I'm hoping to get some Dewdrop Inn. I actually have to work until 6 o'clock that day, but my plan is maybe Friday I'll put the order in, and then on my way home from work, I'll just swing by, pick that crap up, and set.
Okay, all right. Well, like you said, Super Bowl is this weekend, and we kind of touched on the Super Bowl a little bit last week, but we'll really start diving into it this week and kind of give you our predictions. Is it fair for me to say that both of us are going to be rolling with the Chiefs? I'm sorry, rolling with the Eagles in a Super Bowl win, correct?
Yes. Eagles, go Birds, Bird Gang, let's go. Yes.
Yeah. And why do you think that is? Is it simply a fact that the defense is going to be so dominant that they're going to have Patrick Mahomes on the run, or how do you see the Eagles winning the game?
I think it's going to be, multifaceted here. I think the defense is definitely going to be kind of the strength on this team right now, and give Patrick Mahomes some grief. I know he's saying the ankle injury is fine, but at the same time, maybe he goes out in a bootleg. And we saw 2 weeks ago against the Bengals where he did a bootleg, put all that weight on that right foot, and he was gimping around the rest of the game. But also, like the Chiefs secondary. There's a lot of rookies in there. They can't be beaten. Personally, I have Devonta Smith. I know he was my X factor in the NFC Championship game, and it was relatively quiet, just given how the game script went with, Josh Johnson being the 49ers quarterback. But I think it's definitely going to be a different story this Sunday. I think Devonta Smith is going to be the X factor. I think he'll be able to take the top off this defense. And I think A.J. Brown is going to be in line for a big game as well, too. So, I like the passing game for the Eagles here. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to sling it, which, we're going to kind of dovetail to my best bets in the next segment. But I like Devonta Smith a lot this weekend. I also like Jalen Hurts this weekend going through the air as well, too.
So what's your I have a little bit of a concern with Jalen Hurts' shoulder. And the reason why I say that is because I don't know if you saw the stat floating around. Ever since he's injured his shoulder, passes of 4 yards or more, his numbers have been dramatically lower than they were before injury. So the games against the 49ers, the Giants at the end of the year, and the other game he came back, I forget which other game he came back from, but ever since he's been back, I feel like that shoulder isn't 100%. Now, we all can talk about how Patrick Mahomes has obviously, his injury to his ankle, but it seems like Patrick Mahomes, 22 days removed from that injury, is doing way much better, in my opinion, than I think what Jalen Hurts is kind of dealing with that injury. And the reason why I say that is because, one of the stats that came out of the game against the Bengals was that last play where he ran out of bounds and got pushed out by Osai. On that play, he topped out at 18 miles per hour per next gen stats. Previous to that, his top for the whole year, top speed was 14 miles per hour. So the fact that he's running that quick with a quote unquote bum ankle kind of tells me, the ankle injury wasn't that big of a deal. And, it's he's managing well with it, especially being 22 days removed from it. So, just like you, Puma, I have the Eagles winning this game, but I think if the Eagles were to win this game, it can't fall on Jalen Hurts' shoulders. Like the whole team has to come to play like they have been all year long. The defense has to cause havoc on Patrick Mahomes. The running attack has to be there. I think it has to be a total team effort. And the one thing the Eagles cannot do is they cannot fall down by 10 points or 14 points or fall behind, because the one thing I think that the Eagles cannot do is throw to get back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I get the ankle comparison. All I'm gonna say is that adrenaline in a must-win situation is a
Yeah.
hell of a drug, in the
Uh-huh.
words of Dave Chappelle. But no, I mean, point taken. The shoulder injury is definitely a concern here. I just think with the Eagles against the 49ers, like quite frankly, didn't have to throw the ball because their offense was so inept that the Eagles defense was just having their way. This is going to be a different story on Sunday. Definitely agree that they can't fall behind. Like there's no falling behind the eight ball here. I think it's definitely going to be worth monitoring. Maybe we'll see Jalen Hurts run a little bit more, but on paper, considering the greenness of the Kansas City secondary, I'll take my chances with Hurts with the bum shoulder attacking that passing defense.
Okay. Okay. So let's say, our production doesn't come true and somehow the Kansas City referees beat the Eagles. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Let's say somehow the Chiefs beat the Eagles. What does another Super Bowl win mean for Patrick Mahomes in your eyes? And before you go, let me just give you my quick synopsis on what I think it means for Patrick Mahomes. I think this is a big, big game for Patrick Mahomes. And the reason why is because so far he's kind of dominated the NFL the last 5 years or so, right? I mean, we all can agree going to five straight AFC championship games, winning one Super Bowl, making it to three now. I think if he wins this Super Bowl, he'll get into that rarefied air of being in that conversation of being the second best quarterback in league history after Tom Brady, right? We all agree it's usually Tom Brady number one. Next comes Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, John Elway, all those guys. And if somehow at age 27, Patrick Mahomes can get to two Super Bowls with with the two MVPs, five straight AFC Championship games, I think that will put him in that rarefied air in that conversation on the way to obviously GOAT status. Now, if he loses this game, I think we can make a valid argument that out of all the quote unquote GOATs of the game, right? He's by far underachieved out of all of them. And the reason why is I always believe, and I always say this, that Patrick Mahomes was one of the luckiest players in NFL history. He was able to get drafted into the perfect situation. He was drafted into the best offensive mind of this generation. He was drafted into the best tight end of this generation, second to Gronk, or maybe one, depending on how you look at it. And then obviously the best wide receiver in this generation is Tyreek Hill. I think that's not up for debate. So he has all that going for him. And in that stretch, he's been only able to win one Super Bowl. I think that would be a little bit of an indictment on who Patrick Mahomes is, quote unquote, in the GOAT conversation. How do you think my analysis of that is? Is that fair, unfair? What's your thoughts on that?
No, I think it is fair, especially in society where it's all determined about, what have you done for me lately? Like, what's the championship? Like, the talent of Mahomes is not in question. The dude is
Mhm.
probably the best talent I've ever seen sling a football around. But like, Dan Marino had a lot of talent in the '80s, and some people have him as like the greatest quarterback, regardless of championships. But at the end of the day, like he's never going to be in that conversation because he never won a championship. He only went to one Super Bowl, did not win that championship. Funny enough, he lost to the 49ers in that matchup. But pure talent, like Marino was fantastic too, but he's not the greatest of all time. And we said this 2 years ago on the pod after the Buccaneers game, where the Buccaneers Super Bowl rather, and I said like he needs to win another championship, or he is going
Mhm.
to be in the same category as Aaron Rodgers. And that is, if he doesn't win this one, I don't think that's an unfair criticism of, okay, well, Mahomes is kind of in the Aaron Rodgers category right now. And I'm not talking about all the people out there, like, relax. I'm not talking about the drama and the off-field stuff, like for all the nonsense that the wife and the brother do on TikTok. Like
Mhm.
he doesn't comment it on it ever. He doesn't navigate any minefields and talks about going in a darkness tank to find himself. He does everything right, and he's definitely the
Yeah.
face of the franchise. But it is a fair criticism. Like if he doesn't win on Sunday,
Mhm.
which it's going to be, quite frankly, a little bit of an uphill battle with really the walking wounded at wide receiver. It's going to be Travis Kelsey and maybe Sky Moore as the starting wide receivers. God bless them.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't win, it's Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, a lot of these greats will always have a swing game, and what I mean by that is Brady had it against the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl. Where if he didn't win that game, That's 3 straight losses for him, right? But instead, he
Mhm.
won that Super Bowl, and now you've won 4 out of 6 appearances, and it changes everything, right? Peyton Manning had that swing game against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game when he couldn't win for years on end against them, and he finally broke through and he got that win and went to the Super Bowl and won against the Bears. So, I mean, this is very interesting because, like I said, like he could either be 2 Super Bowls at age 27, and the only other person that done that was Tom Brady with 3 Super Bowls at age 27, or it could be 1 Super Bowl in 3 appearances. And on top of that, you know, so far in 2 Super Bowls, he hasn't played the best. Like his numbers in these 2 Super Bowls that he's played in aren't the best. He's had 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Like his quarterback rating was much lower than his normal stats in the playoffs in the regular season. So, if he goes out there losing the Super Bowl and plays bad and those stats keep compiling, I mean, then I think you got to kind of pump the brakes in this whole anointing him as a quote unquote GOAT, which for some reason everybody wants to do right now.
Right. Then some people say, "Oh, how dare you even put Joe Burrow in that same category?" But that's a
Yeah.
discussion for another day. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, honestly, Jay, like he's going to this weekend, like he's going to have to potentially not just like win, not like squeak out a
Mhm.
win. I think it's going to have to
Have a good
be like
performance.
it's going
Mhm.
to be like a good performance, like I'm planting my flag in the middle of State Farm Field type of deal. It's like, yeah, like you forgot about Mahomes type of deal. Like
Yeah.
it's going to have to be that kind of fu performance. And with the supporting cast around, quite frankly, I don't see that happening. But you have Travis Kelsey on your side, so
Mhm.
anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Hmm.
All right, let's talk about the other quarterback on the other side. Does Jalen Hurts need to prove anything to you, to the football world, to me, everybody watching? Because there seems to be this narrative that people don't want to give Jalen Hurts his props. I know I do. I know you do. I think Jalen Hurts is phenomenal. I think what he's done via the intangible part of his game is so great. His leadership in the locker room, how that team takes on his identity. He's kind of Joe Burrow esque without the proficient passing skills, right? So there's a lot of there's a big narrative out there that for some reason people don't consider him to be in that quote unquote elite status of quarterback. So does he got to prove anything this weekend?
No, not really.
Hmm.
I don't think so. I mean, if he's able to light it up with the bum shoulder, then sure, I guess it'll put like the passing narrative to bed, in my opinion. But I mean, considering the intangibles that he has, and then like the game he brings to the table, which is similar to Lamar with running the football and passing, like I don't really think Jalen Hurts has anything to prove. I think if anything, this is potentially going to be like his big coming out party per se. He would have been, in my opinion, the MVP of the league this year if he didn't get hurt, if he didn't miss those couple of games. But with all things considered, he's in the Super Bowl right now with the best team. In my opinion, I don't think he really has anything to prove. And Jeffrey Lurie and
Hmm.
Howie Roseman came out and seconded that right during media day. Actually, I don't even think they even flew out to Arizona at that point. I think they came out and said he's our guy. They have nothing to prove, and we look forward to getting a long-term contract extension done with them. If anything, like this is kind of like the measuring stick, in my opinion, not to piss off Lamar Jackson fans, but it's like, okay, you have the second round quarterback
Hmm.
from Alabama slash Oklahoma, and people
Hmm.
shitted on him, and that's me included because I wasn't
Hmm.
high on him getting drafted in the second round, but he's impressed me with his passing game, and Lamar has the same skill set and can't get past the first round in the playoffs.
Puma, remember who I said the Patriots should draft in the second round in that Jalen Hurts draft?
I believe it was Jalen Hurts
Jalen
himself.
Hurts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, sometimes you can just see it. Like and that's the reason why people have such a hard time quantifying Jalen Hurts' talents is because they can't see the intangibles. And he is the classic case of, he's not going to wow you with all the big throws or those gaudy numbers statistically, but what he provides for leadership in that locker room, in that city, it's basically, it's at a high level. It's an elite level with the amount of leadership he provides. So I think I think this could be Jalen Hurts' like great moment to kind of etch a lot of those narratives out, right? I mean, at the end of the day, just like you mentioned, unlike Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, he does run, but he also throws at a fairly good clip as well. On top of that, he's never hurt. Unlike Lamar Jackson, who hasn't been healthy for 2 or 3 straight years, and at the end of the year, Jalen Hurts has so much muscle on him. He's such a big frame that he can seem to kind of weather those hits and kind of make it through to the end of a season. So I'm happy for Jalen Hurts. I saw this at Oklahoma. Like, what happened to him at Alabama, losing that job, going to a different organization in the Oklahoma Sooners, day one, basically busting his ass, being named captain of that year that he started, learning the playbook, and then went to the NFL. I mean, it's very impressive what the young man has done so far.
And really, like, just to the mental makeup of
Hmm.
Jalen, I should say, he's playing in Philadelphia. Like, it's not like
That's not easy.
he's not playing in like Tampa, he's not playing in Houston, like,
Hmm.
Chicago, I guess, is a rabid fan base. He's playing in Philadelphia. Like
Yep.
that, you need to have a special type of makeup, in my opinion, to play in that city. Like, they threw snowballs and batteries at Santa Claus. Like,
Yep.
they
Yep.
don't care. I will never
Yep.
forget. I went to an Eagles game
Oh,
way
did
back
you?
when. I went to an Eagles game. They were
Yeah.
playing this is when Michael Vick was there, and
Okay.
they were playing the Dallas Cowboys, and I think it was literally the only Cowboy fan in that whole stadium. He had a DeMarcus Ware jersey on. Jay, I'm not even kidding. Like, I was legitimately concerned
Scared. Yeah.
about this dude's safety. And like,
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is playing there. I tip my
Hmm.
cap to you, sir. God
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah. My favorite Philadelphia story is that they used to have a jail in the old
In the
stadium.
vet. Yep. Yep. In Veterans Stadium, they had a jail. I don't know if they have that in the new stadium. I can't
I hope
remember
they
because
do.
I
That'd
did
be
a
like
quick
a nice
tour.
homage to the past, yesteryears of
I
Eagle
feel
stadiums.
like they do. It's
Hmm.
been so long. Like, we scored like field passes because a friend of mine, her brother worked for the Eagles, or still
Oh,
does, I
nice.
think, for the ticket
You guys
office.
scored
So we
field
got the
passes
tickets.
on the field and stuff.
Yeah, so we were on the field and stuff.
Wow.
So and we
Okay.
got like a tour of the stadium. I'm 90% sure there's still a holding tank in
Okay.
there.
All right. All right.
And
All
if
right.
not, I'm gonna make it up and say there is because it's Philadelphia. So
Last question before we go.
mhm.
Kansas City barbecue or Philadelphia cheesesteaks? And
Ooh.
before you go and you think about that, I've got a proclamation to make.
Mhm.
Philadelphia cheesesteaks overrated.
I'm
Overrated.
not gonna
So
I'm not gonna co-sign
I'll
that.
choose. I will choose the Kansas City barbecue over the Philadelphia overrated cheesesteaks.
You're talking to a guy that hasn't eaten like food in 3 days because he's had his friggin' wisdom teeth taken out. So like,
Yeah.
I'm dying for barbecue, cheesesteak, anything at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna co-sign and say the cheesesteak is overrated. I went to Chicky and Pete's in Philadelphia, which I believe is right by the link, and the crab
Okay.
fries, which is fries with Old Bay, fantastico. The cheesesteak was amazing, but I'm a barbecue guy, so I'm gonna go
Hmm.
with the barbecue. There's no
Okay.
disrespect to the cheesesteak, none whatsoever.
All right. Well, guys, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.